takes a few minutes for them people to drop in anyway. So we'll just get started. Set up here. You know, some people use like a few minutes of just music and shit like we did that one time. And just to wait for people to drop in, which makes sense because you don't want to start talking about important stuff right away before anyone's even here. So we'll wait. Get set up. People. Got a high-tech mic there.
Yeah, I had to get
definitely an upgrade over that one that was popping all the time.
Yeah, this should be better, I think.
Someone says 2 a.m. in the UK. What am I doing? You're about to get educated, sir.
Oh, are we live?
Yeah, yeah, we're live.
We're live, dude.
Sorry, I said it as you were stepping away because I said it takes a few minutes for people to drop in anyway, so I just went ahead and got started. Good thing you didn't do anything embarrassing. Come back without your pants on or something. So this could be an interesting one. We'll have to see.
What's the title?
Can the shot cause demonic possession?
Can the shot cause what shot? What shot are we talking about?
Any shot, I guess. We'll see what our guest has to say. I'm assuming they're referencing the shot, the jab, the vaccine. I want to be careful with my not get us demonetized or something.
Oh, really? Okay. She actually mentioned that, so we can refer to it as B.
Yeah. I've seen some people refer to it as the snake bite, which is funny.
As what? Sorry.
A snake bite, like people who have been snake bitten. There's all sorts of euphemisms that people have been using. Have you guys seen the protests in Italy? I haven't seen anything very specific, images and whatnot, but there's a couple, at least one commentator that I follow who's an American guy, but he lives in Italy. And he said that one of his children, who's, basically, I guess a teenager at this point, was literally just like walking out and about, happened upon one of these kind of events, and the cops just blasted him in the face with a rubber bullet. And luckily it didn't injure them, but they're getting a little bit heavy-handed apparently, so could be heating up there. And we're seeing that in Australia too. People are getting pissed off, so definitely reaching an inflection point with a lot of these really onerous restrictions in a lot of these countries.
All right, improved audio in 3, 2, 1. How's that sound?
Yeah,
how's that,
Chris? Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Prepper Trifecta, episode number, who knows? And
yeah, we really should start numbering them, maybe. Just so we have some idea of how many we've done.
Did we just say 100? Did we just say one day, just like, okay, episode
Let's just say, I've got a better idea. Let's just say episode 100 every time.
Let's do that for a couple of months. Sure.
Yeah, episode 100 again. That's easier that'll be easier for me to remember.
It's only happening once, folks.
Yeah, exactly. It's all episode 100 in segments. All the Prepper Trifectas are one episode.
Yeah. What? This is a true trifecta tonight.
Yeah, so we have another interview, which is should be interesting. So I think we've talked about before that I think it was last time, maybe the time before that, there's a lot of theories, and some of them they're all the spectrum about all the weird stuff that's going on right now about the shot, why it's doing certain weird things, why it isn't doing other things, why it's being pushed so hard. All the weird stuff that crops up. So there's a whole range of theories about this stuff, from the banal to the pretty extreme. So this week we're going to the more extreme side of the of the spectrum in terms of what people think is going on here. So I definitely, just judging by what the topic has been proposed to me, I think it's something that I certainly don't think is going on, but I'm willing to hear the explanation.
Yeah, so, and I'll give you a little bit of abstract. I'm sure she'll go into more detail.
Yeah.
Special guests, we have, I've had the privilege of meeting this young lady and speaking with her a couple times, and certainly the perplexing perspectives is they're quite fascinating to say the least. And one of the foremost thoughts is that demonic possession is the product or the byproduct of what do we call it? Getting the snake bites. We're using code words here, obviously. So when you get bitten by a snake through an entity, starts with the letter G. I guess we can say government, can't we?
Yeah, we can say government.
Isn't it weird how things are just so, you got to be really careful what words.
And it changes too, like I've mentioned before, how when people talk about, oh, the science this and science that, I'm like, there's stuff that's literally the mainstream status quo opinion right now that you would get kicked off YouTube for saying a year ago. Like literally, remember when we first started making these about what was going on, you couldn't even say it. They would just, if you even talked about coronavirus, they would demonetize and everything. And now it's like, of course everyone knows it's real and stuff now and a big deal. So really bizarre.
Not everybody.
Well, not everybody believes it is, but you're at least allowed to talk about it on YouTube.
Yes.
But now they're doing the same thing with certain other elements, like the certain opinions about the vaccine. Entire channels even by medical doctors have been disappeared because of their opinions about the vaccine. So, snake bite. So interesting.
Yeah, it certainly is, man. And it's unfortunately, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. We've got, well, I think I'm going to send her the link without further ado. We need to get this guest on.
Cool.
And I will.
Yeah, so we're willing to entertain all theories on here, at least hear them out. Doesn't mean that we are necessarily going to agree with them, but who knows? Maybe the evidence will be overwhelming, and I'll be forced to admit that that's what's going on. Guess I'll find out.
I've got a gig that I did not too long ago. It's called Questioning the COVID Narrative. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, man, a friend of mine was hosting it. Just off-grid dude. A bunch of hippies live out in the woods sort of thing. And, girls that don't shave their pits sort of thing. Like, cool. Like, all the power to you. I don't care. Just do what you want to do. But some of these theories, I lay down, I have a couple beers around the campfire, and there's just people going on about their perspectives. And forget TV. I mean, just these theories are fascinating. Just utterly fascinating to hear why people believe what it is they believe. It doesn't get any. It's better than any reality show out there. At least from my perspective. So, listen. Thanks for joining us Sunday night. This is the Prepper Trifecta. We don't know what episode this is. We do this periodically every two weeks. I think it seems to be working so far. And some regular faces on the chat. Great to see you, Mark, Donna, George. I don't know who Print Girl is. That's the missing Print Girl before. Alkmen. I can't pronounce that. Can you?
Which one?
Alkmen Tyrataeus.
I don't even see it. Yeah, Alkmen Tritius. I don't know. Was it our guest just popping in?
Is this some kind of Greek god name from the?
Yeah, maybe.
Hi.
Hi there. Cool. Can you hear me?
We can. Welcome.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Eric and Chavis, for having me on your show.
No problem.
Thank you for being on. This is great to have you. Can you tell us about the photo, your avatar? Let's start there.
Yes, sure. I like this photo just because it encourages us to fight till the end in survival. And I kind of just like it because it does exhibit the divine masculine and the strength of the masculine, which we need more of in these times with all the agendas going on in the world. So,
well, absolutely agree with that for sure.
So we had a chance to connect yesterday. We've connected a few times now, and can you go into maybe a little more background with respect to getting up to the point of why? Let's start at the very basics. You're new to preparedness. You're brand new. You've got this forethought that something's going to happen and you need to prepare. Would you say that everybody should be preparing? Should be on this preparedness spectrum or train?
That's a good question. I think that, in my opinion, there are those. I don't think. Okay, let me just reframe that. I don't think everyone needs to be prepared, because I feel like there are specific people who have chosen this kind of life in which they don't focus on surviving to the end. But I think there are those of us that have a fire in us that should be waking up quite quickly and doing what we can to prepare ourselves for the end times, as I would put it.
That's
Okay.
an interesting point, and I don't disagree, because it's I would, of course, because I'm one of the types of people who would want to try to do everything to survive within moral reason, at least. But there's certainly other people who I've talked to who said, they always joke about, like, oh, if the apocalypse happened, I'll just kill myself or something. But if you're really in a position where trying to prepare, I guess, just like ruins your current life because you can only focusing on the negative aspect of it, then it probably would be better to just not really do that.
Mm-hmm.
When did the switch go off in your mind? When did it become serious with respect to COVID, that this was a viral pandemic worldwide? Was it early January? When did you start taking it seriously, would you say?
Okay, well, I'd say actually it was before COVID. I would say 2019 August, I heard about the mark of the beast, and I also heard that there would be I like to say V for the wax. I don't like to say the actual term, but I heard that there was going to be a false releasing of some kind of disease or something, in which they could prepare us for the mark of the beast down the road. And if those of you aren't familiar with the mark of the beast, it's referred to in Revelation 13 in the Bible. So it is there to be aware of. But yeah, I just heard about it, and I was freaking out. It scared me quite a lot to hear that there was going to be a mark of the beast in the future in which we could not buy or sell without that tattoo or whatnot. So that was kind of when, for me, I realized we're close to something big happening, and whether it's a war or whether it's nuclear or whatever it would be. Then when COVID happened, it was kind of like, oh my goodness, this is leading up to what they were talking about, what everyone kind of was talking about in the alternative communities. And so now we're at the point where I am kind of starting to prep and gather tuna cans and stuff like that, just to begin and getting into the prepping aspect, because, if we're needing to survive at the end, we have to start now. And if we can't buy or sell, we have to be independent to begin with. Yeah.
How do you feel about individuals that are, let's just say maybe they're agnostic or atheist, or they don't necessarily align with your belief system? We talked about this briefly before. There's something like 40,000 religions. Why is you've got a conviction that your lineage of thought is the correct one? A, and B, do you look at other like Muslims as inferior, perhaps, or agnostic, atheist is inferior compared to what you believe?
I've had direct experience with witchcraft because in my 20s, I was heavily into witchcraft and magic. And I saw that it's got its power similar to the other entities and gods that these other religions worship. But there's nothing stronger than the power of Christ. And I've had direct experience with this in my own life. And so by seeing that kind of changed me out of witchcraft and for the better. And even though I know there are some good things, there are some take home concepts from all religions, and they do kind of interlink at some points. But I've boiled it down to the fact that there's a God that runs this world, Satan. And that's kind of the power I was channeling by being a pagan, by being into witchcraft. And there's also another God, which is more difficult to reach through the power of resisting the things of this world and involving Jesus Christ as well. And to take that path to work through this world. It's a difficult thing, but yet it reaps many rewards at the end. So
Good. Eric.
Yeah, I definitely agree with like you mentioned earlier on, that, like you said, the need for physical preparedness is obviously super important, and that would go regardless of what anyone thinks. If they don't agree with the religious aspect of it, it's still easy to see the physical things that are happening that are going to make preparedness obviously essential.
Let me ask you something, Tatiana.
yes.
This connection with the shots and demonic possession. Can you go through the steps of what led you to have that conclusion?
Okay. Yes. So following people on BitChute, one specific employee from one company that created one of the substances in the wax. Her name is Karen Kingston, and I was following her work regarding a substance within this vial, the wax. And this substance, in my mind, I linked up the idea that there could be a potential demonic possession, like entity infestation coming from consenting to the wax. And the steps I went through to come to that conclusion was pairing my knowledge of the demonic. And I feel like, I mean, if you believe in Satan or God or not, Satan's whole plan is to infest people with demons and have his kingdom run rampant on the earth. And I even relate it back to the Hadron Collider at CERN in Geneva, Switzerland. The fact that there's a statue outside of the god Shiva, who is the god of destruction. And Satan is also the god of destruction. And there's very much a link to his plan on infiltrating this world with demonic entity. And I feel like the Hadron Collider, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but could open a portal bringing demons into the world. And perhaps they're harvesting at some of these labs demons that would readily go into humans, and therefore create some kind of Hunger Games scenario in which the ones that do not have the wax are hunted by these entities that have run rampant.
And when is this going to start, this hunting?
I feel like it's already started as soon as the V has been injected into people, but it's still, I feel like it's leading up to the mark of the beast, in which I think it's going to be extremely dangerous on earth. And it would coincide with the tribulation period in the Bible, in which Christians are persecuted. Those that have not received the V are persecuted and killed, essentially, for their decisions.
So I'll play the contrarian side for a second. So if we're going with basically like what I would consider standard Christian theology, there's already would be demons in the world, demonic possession, like mentioned in the Bible. Why would they need to have like the collider or the wax or whatever to make that happen?
That's a good question. I believe that there are demons in the world, and they have been here for thousands of years. But us as human beings, especially us with the Holy Spirit, who've taken on the Holy Spirit, are extremely valuable, and we have treasure in us, in which they have every desire to entrap us. And that's why this world is kind of, if you look at it, it's set up as an entrapment system. And this is just to further entrap the spirit within the soul of people. But not everyone, I do believe that not everyone has the true Holy Spirit. It's, subjective, I feel. We could get into that as well, but those that do are going to be in the end hunted because of this entrapment system is just ramping up at this point. So
There's a comment here from a member named Ginger. Ginger said, "Is this a joke? Is this conversation a joke?" Well, I can't say that Tatiana certainly has her convictions and beliefs in what she's saying. She really does believe this. But let's reframe this from a scientific perspective or logic perspective, in that most people believe the V is real. We have a pandemic, and there's a resolution for it in the form of a V. And this is purely a biological period of time that we're going through, a biological pandemic with respect to this V virus. I guess I could say that word. And this has nothing to do with demons or religion or some sort of real life Hunger Games. And the perception of craziness would be looked upon something like yourself for making these proclamations or these what you're saying is most reasonable people would say that you're crazy. I'm trying to be, I respect to Tatiana, of course, and I'm trying to be as polite as possible in saying what I'm trying to say, but I think we already talked about this. You can appreciate that the reasonable, rational person will say that you're off your rocker. So how do you address that? How do you deal with that? How do you process that?
That's a great point. And I find it that it's all right if people call me crazy because, well, I feel like we have very, very little time left. And I also believe that, life is so short, and I believe in what I've researched, and I'm just here to hopefully connect with other people and have a discussion regarding all these things. It would be really great to have a debate in the comments. If people want to ask questions, go ahead. But yeah, I think that ordinary people are definitely going to find my truth crazy, but yeah, I think we're all here to share our experiences and our opinions. So
yes, Eric, your turn.
Let me think. I would say, so what, like, assuming this is the position that you're coming from, how does that affect, like you were talking about, preparedness versus someone else who is just preparing strictly for the logistical reasons of looking ahead and saying we're at rough times, or like, what are you doing differently because of the stuff that you're talking about versus someone who's just prepping?
I see. Oh, that's a good question. I guess I don't really know what the difference would be. I guess I see both sides. I see the fact that sure, we could have a savior come back, Jesus Christ. He'll pull us out of this per se video game. Then there's the other side of the story that maybe there is no savior and we're on our own, and we have to learn how to survive through all of this and be aware of what could happen. I guess I don't know. I think it's great to be into the prepper community, beginning into the prepper community like I am, because I need that extra protection just in case there is no savior to return. But I guess I'm here to discuss these things to hopefully stop people from taking the wax because of the potential that they are not in their own driver's seat anymore, and this substance is taking over their consciousness. And I hopefully can help somebody out there that's listening to maybe halt them from actually going forth with that.
So when somebody gets the V and they become demonized, or they become possessed, they've got the demon in them, how do they act? Or what differentiates a person that's a normal, rational, civil human being that got the V shots, sorry, Eric, or an individual that is demonically possessed? Is there any sort of differential that you are privy to?
Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yes, there is.
All right. Please.
They act attached to the grid. I feel like for one reason, I know somebody that had that done, and they instantly said they can't feel God anymore. They don't feel empathy anymore. They don't have a awareness of their soul. They instantly felt depressed and suicidal. There was an element of wanting to commit suicide, or hinting at that, as well as the inclination to perhaps murder. But this was a brief period in which that said person stopped expressing those ideals, maybe 2 weeks after. So I guess that was is it called the incubation? I'm not sure what it's called when the person takes the V and then they have the active ingredients that they are told to stay away from unV'd people because, well, anyway, that's what I'm kind of touching on is there's a block that's created in the person's consciousness, which they can't connect to God anymore. And there's multiple people that are talking about this phenomenon that's happening, regarding not being able to feel their own spirit anymore or their connection back to source at all, which they prior to had connection.
Dawn, thank you. Dawn says, to sort of elaborate on that thought process, Dawn says, my mom, Christian and preacher for over 50 years, got the B when it first came out. She's 78, and I can guarantee you it isn't the mark of the beast or demonic possession. Now, how do you argue with somebody like Dawn that knows his mother, presumably it very well, and for you to suggest that Dawn is wrong? How does that, it's a little bit gray. How could you argue with it? What would your argument be to Dawn to say, no, Dawn, your mother is possessed?
I would say, no, Dawn, your mother has not taken the mark of the beast, because I feel like the Antichrist has to be revealed before the mark of the beast even comes into play. And we haven't gotten to that point in time, in the timeline yet. So that's to come down the road. And I'm not sure of the timeline. I don't know dates regarding this, but the V is a precursor to that, is to make people weakened so that when the mark comes, they will more easily take that. And that's the real deal. You know, that's when people are going to be linked up to the grid computer, the AI, fully, like they're giving their entire soul up. I feel like there are ways to, even once you've taken the wax, you know, maybe some people still do feel God. Maybe some people aren't fully possessed. Maybe there are also placebo type, like water, or I'm not really sure. I've heard that there could be, you know, not actually the substance in the vials, and it could just be they're giving out some kind of, you know, liquid that's not doing what they think it's doing. We have no idea what they're really putting in these things. Like, they're telling us that there are these trade secrets in the V that Bill Gates has not elaborated on what's actually in there. And one of the trade secrets starts with a G, and I think most people have heard about that running through the internet. A lot of people have heard of the G substance, and that substance is toxic to humans. And they don't mind, you know, not telling people about that. I wonder what else it could be putting in. But going back to Dawn, I feel like your mother, as a preacher, she still can access the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit can transcend all of this. So I wouldn't worry about it. But in regards to the mark of the beast, she has not taken the mark. That's to come. And it's good to gear up so we don't take that, especially your mother. I pray for her so that she does not take that in the future.
Yeah, we'll say that regardless of anyone's religion or theological perspective, according to the Bible, obviously the mark of the beast has several elements that would have to be there. One of which, you know, obviously you can't buy and sell without it. But that doesn't mean anything you can't buy or sell without is it. it would have to be on your forehead or head or whatever. So it's annoying when every few years something will happen and people are like, oh, like when barcodes first came out, people thought that was like, doesn't mean it's good. Doesn't mean it couldn't be a precursor to something worse, but it can't be that without getting all the elements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
someone says,
I've got a quick comment. So, no, go for it, Eric. It's all you.
no, that's it. I was just trying to read the questions really quick, see if I could find anything that we needed.
Mark Olson, at Tatiana, question for you. Is compliance the mark of the beast? Interesting.
No.
Okay.
Sorry to interject, Che. No, I don't think that compliance is the mark of the beast. It's going to be an actual tattoo or marking that goes on the right hand or the forehead. It's written about in Revelations 13 specifically, and a lot of people say that the V is the mark of the beast, but no, it's not, because the Antichrist has not risen yet and risen to power. And we're definitely on the road to that. So just to be aware.
Is there, okay, so going back to the Hunger Games analogy, and actually Dawn's grandmother is a fascinating example, the transformation. So she got to be, something has to happen with Jesus, yada, yada, yada. And then suddenly she's demonically possessed. According to you, what is it going to look like? Is she going to be a zombie? Is she going to be a like the Exorcist? What can we expect in your estimation?
Mm-hmm. I feel like I've researched that it'll be a weakened society. So the people that have taken the V are basically weakening their immune system voluntarily, and as for the zombie thing, I don't necessarily believe in the zombie apocalypse or anything like that, but isn't that possible? If you're putting some kind of foreign substance in your body, it may not manifest now, but in 5 years, something may come about within the body that harms the body, like maybe I don't know, eats at the cells or whatnot and eats at the brain. I'm not stating that. I know that. I'm just saying perhaps, like, what is this? What's in the V that, we don't know about that could harm humanity? And
Sure.
but definitely the immunity will go down,
Okay.
and people will be brainwashed on, honestly. Yeah.
The connection between the weakened immune system and brainwashed is that what you're saying is demonic possession, or is it more of was there some other factor? What I'm trying to get at is like what constitutes demonic possession in terms of how people are they acting funny? So how does a weakened immune system equal demonic possession? Because you were saying,
okay.
Is there another factor that I'm not touching on?
Okay, so are you kind of asking, like, what does a demonic possessed person look like?
No, not what a demonic person looks like. What Dawn's grandmother is going to look like after such and such Jesus comes in, and they come in and there's white ponies or whatever it is that happens. And then suddenly Dawn's grandmother, was it mother? Sorry, excuse me, I think it was his mother, that has that transformation. And you said basically it's just a weakened immune system. So I'm trying to figure out what is the, in your estimation, what is the can you elaborate more on the demonic possession? What can we expect? Is it just going to be a bunch of sick people walking around?
I guess it could, it could be sick people, but what I definitely believe in is the fact that it could be the inability to make a good decision. I feel like people will not be able to have God's intercession or Holy Spirit come through them to make the decisions necessary to survive or to be rescued by Jesus, whichever one you go for. But I feel like it's going to create it'll make people attached to the grid so much more than they already are, and it's going to make it harder to detach from the grid. So for example, say AI, you're attached to the AI eventually via the V, and you know, like they tell people, okay, go, you know, murder someone, and you basically are so allegiant to this substance that you go and commit murder. And then at the harvest period, at the end of, and at the in the end times, what if Jesus won't take you to heaven because you've committed that sin, for example? And I feel like, based on what I've seen with the person close to me who's taken it, who instantly started to have suicidal thoughts after taking it, how does that happen, you know, so quickly afterwards? I know it's subjective to the person, but that's the kind of thing. You're following a false voice, you're following a substance that's connecting you to AI that may be sending pulses to do certain things you wouldn't normally do without it.
The AI. Yeah. So the AI may inadvertently, through getting the shots, cause people to commit atrocities as severe as murder. To confirm, that's what you said.
Mm.
All right, Eric.
What's up?
It's all you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm trying to look
talking
through
too much. This is fascinating.
Okay, so this is a question I ask pretty much anyone who has any kind of theory, whether that's economic, physical, spiritual, whatever, it doesn't matter. And that is, what could or would have to happen over the next few months to years for you to say I was wrong about this? Like, if we get 10 years down the road and say, yeah, this stuff really does mess up your heart, there's lawsuits and whatever, but nothing really extreme happens, would you look back and say, yeah, maybe I misread the situation, or this? What specifically would have to happen for you to falsify your theory on the topic?
I guess, well, if things went back to like as close to normal as possible, and if maybe a lot of regulations let up regarding the V, for example, you know, say like they didn't really pressurize it as much for people to get it for their jobs in the next 5 months. Say if, you know, things around the world, for example, Australia stopped having all their crazy issues and restrictions now, within the next 5 months, and you know, there's no narrative that links up to the rising of the Antichrist, and everything kind of goes back to its balance that it was before all this happened. If everything kind of stabilizes out, I'll be like, wow, I was so wrong, and I'm very happy about that. And
right.
And great, like maybe there's no need for an end war or nuclear or the sun giving off any kind of dangerous situation for those inhabiting Earth. I don't know too much about that, but yeah, I guess things would have to go back to balance, and I'd be very happy about that.
Right on. Fair enough. Yeah, that's what I would expect. Obviously, you know, things just quickly or just generally go back, and if they undo the things that they've done as far as the policies forcing people to do stuff, then we could hopefully breathe a little bit of sigh of relief. So hopefully that's what happens, but I guess we'll find out in the next few months to years.
Right. I have a question for both of you as well. I'm new to prepping, but for you both, is it a passion and a hobby and a lifestyle to do prepping? I guess because my background is more of a, oh no, it's an emergency, you got to start, right, versus maybe something that's fun and enjoyable for you and others.
Absolutely, it can be, and it is for some people. But I would definitely say it doesn't have to be. Like, you can absolutely do some pretty basic stuff, pretty inexpensive stuff. It'll put you in a really good spot, you know, compared to most normal disaster type scenarios. But there's absolutely people who enjoy it as a hobby, who really like thinking about the gear and doing different things to be prepared. And some people let it take over their life, like with any other actions or hobbies. But for some people, it certainly is a lifestyle / hobby / enjoyable thing. Other people do it out of a more like a fear, like nervous, they're worried that this stuff would happen. And then I think the healthiest way probably to do it is to do it based on how you would prepare for pretty much anything else. Like, I'm going to go on a vacation. What are these things I'm going to need? Okay, when am I going to have to start doing those things and that sort of thing? And just looking at potential disasters that same way. Say, these things have happened over the years, could happen in the future. So what do I need? Food, water, medicine. Okay, I'll get some of these things and then not have to worry about it. So that's what I always tell people, is to do this stuff so that you don't have to worry about it. Don't do it because you are just worried all the time. But the short version is, yes, it certainly can be a hobby and enjoyable for some people. Other people, it stresses them out. What do you think, Shay?
That's, dude, I wrote it perfectly. I'll co-sign on everything that Eric just said there. I mean, I think if anything, it's adversely, if it does stress you out, and I've certainly met those that it does stress out, you got to take a step back and look in the mirror and realize, why am I doing this? What am I going through? What's the process going on right now? And it's unfortunate because it's more detrimental over the long term if you're stressed out and prepping.
Right.
It's never enough. It's this half glass, half empty sort of mentality. The bigger picture is to just really, you have to enjoy it. You have to embrace it. You have to know that you're part of that elite small minority that is taking steps to secure their personal safety and security in the event of a disaster. So I think Eric said it better personally. I think he would have.
Well, I mentioned in one of my other videos recently on the channel about how, like, I live in Vegas, which is probably a horrible place to be in if there's a massive disaster scenario of some kind. But I don't make every decision in my life based on what happens in a massive disaster scenario. I think most of the time, most things will fall under a temporary or localized disaster. Even the ones throughout history, there's been very, very few extremely large, widespread disaster events. So I think people should make decisions based on the totality of their life, not just through a preparedness perspective. They should just take that into account, because it can improve your life, to be more prepared. Like, just recently, minor things like when the coronavirus disruptions first started happening and everyone is out there buying toilet paper, like, yeah, it got better, but I avoided standing in these horrible lines, having to use anything else other than toilet paper, simply by having some of these extra things on hand. And that could have been done by people who were much less involved in prepping than I am. Just having 3 days, 3 weeks worth of supplies would have prevented that. So just basic level stuff can make a huge difference, and you don't need to orient your entire life towards it.
Yeah, Eric is certainly trumping me on the responses this evening. I'm not too sure I can.
You're trumping me on the questions, though. You're giving good prompts. I'm giving good responses.
Right. So I just to meekly compliments what Eric was just saying. I think we certainly take it to another level because we've got this show. It's a lifestyle. We both really enjoy it. I think it's the challenge aspect of thinking outside of the box and doing things that most regular preppers wouldn't do. But, going back to the original point, you have to enjoy it. I mean, like Eric pretty much said it. Yeah, you're winning lineups, you're ahead of the game, and it's building on these concepts that we already have. Most of us are already preppers to some degree. To some degree, if it's grabbing your rain jacket or cash, there's a reason for that, or spare batteries, or battery booster for your car. These are all, like Eric said, perfect example, going on vacation. What I have to bring with me just in case. It's expanding on that part of the brain, or that concept, and taking it to the next level. Yes, people can take it too far. Yes, people are effing crazy and do it for nefarious reasons. But it can only be healthy if you're enjoying the process. I'd like to add something here for you, Tatiana. Ginger said it earlier, and I think, I certainly, for the most part, like, there's a huge polarity with your belief system. What I believe, it's black and white, quite frankly. But nevertheless, this is what Ginger said, and I spoke with you about this in person the other day. that we're certainly civil and respectful of the fact that you're here. I think it's reflected in the audience. The ginger says, hats off to Tatiana for being brave to speak her beliefs, no matter how we all feel or we all disagree to disagree sort of thing. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you. That's so kind. And I do believe it takes bravery for all of us to share and hopefully connect to others in these times. Thanks, Ginger.
Yep, and I definitely appreciate you showing up. And I will echo what Shay said before you got on the show. Is you have a very soothing voice.
Oh,
you should have you should have a YouTube channel about anything, really. Watch it.
Oh, that's so kind. Wow. Thank you so much, Eric.
No
That's really
Yeah,
kind.
Tatiana, we got a quick segment here. We keep it short and sweet, rapid fire. Give us your response.
Yes.
This is where you got to click the cue. We got to have something for this, Eric.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah. What's the prompt? I don't even know what the prompt is this time. You're going to surprise me.
It's always a surprise. Here we go, folks. Prepper bug out wingman. Between which prepper bug out wingman would you prefer? Thor or Aquaman? Go.
Oh my gosh. Aquaman?
Okay.
Why?
What for? What's the reason? And he's not. What if is he Jason Momoa or like the old school?
Oh my gosh. Right.
I have a feeling that would change your opinion.
Old school, please.
Oh, you want the old? Okay, never mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why Aquaman?
Maybe because if there's a flood and he's good with water, I guess.
True, you never go thirsty, right? You just like summon water or something. I think I would have to go with Thor because he can fly, so you can always get out of there.
Oh yeah, that's true. You got the wings.
Yeah,
to fly.
the hammer pulling him around everywhere. So
The hammer.
that'd be my. So that would be my. If he decided to take you with him, I don't. Maybe he'd be a jerk and just be like, ghost you. Just be like, bye, and leave.
I gotta go with Aquaman because all the chicks love this Jason dude. So maybe if I grew my hair out and grew a beard, I could, you know.
So
get
you
some
want
of
him
that
there?
action.
You want him there though to get all the women?
Well, no, he wouldn't be there in the same room. You know.
He's just your wingman.
Yeah, no, just the wing. Oh, right, the wingman. So it would be. I think like I could blend in. Girls would be like, I want a Jason, but I got Jay instead. You know, kind of. You know.
No way.
Thank you. Thanks for participating in that. I hope the audience got a kick out of it. What I might do in the future is create like a live poll in real time and have the audience
A quiz or something so we can see the results.
Or like a poll, exactly.
That's awesome.
That would be cool.
John Bidd. Well, this is a nice comment. She sounds hot and cute. There you go.
Hot and cute? What's the distinction? Never mind.
Wow.
I'm not sure.
Keep it PG, but keep it PG.
Oh, that's
Okay.
nice.
We were 10 minutes out. Tatiana, thanks for joining us. I think we're going to end this segment here.
Okay.
Unless Eric has any follow-up questions.
No, I would just say if you do have a YouTube channel or anything like that, let us know right here where people can find out anything for a blog or anything like that.
If you care to.
If you want to, yeah.
I have an email address if anyone wants to get in touch. It is eyesofjesuschristministry@gmail.com. And that's all one word, lower caps.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't have a public YouTube channel regarding this subject matter at this time. So but thank you for asking.
No problem.
And also, it was wonderful to be on this show and to answer questions and talk. And yeah, I'm looking forward to further connecting with you both. And
I definitely appreciate it. Very good interview. Thank you.
it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you.
That's why we keep doing it. It's fun.
We'll certainly have you on again. Thanks very much. I appreciate this, Tatiana.
All right. Thank you too, Che.
Take care.
Thank you, Eric. Awesome.
Awesome. All right. Got any memes to share tonight?
I actually do not. I was looking through and I may have had one or two extra ones, but
okay.
I think I have to kick you off, Tatiana. Do I?
Okay.
do it.
Yep.
No worries. We'll talk to you
Sounds
later.
good.
Thank you very much.
Talk to you later.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
But yeah, I don't have my memes
completely unprepared. Here we are, like,
Yeah, I know, right?
whatever,
Yeah, it was
100
bad. Even we did
episodes
2 weeks and I'm still unprepared.
Yeah, I was like looking for memes, audiences watching. I forgot where I saw this, but I've been laughing about this all week. So
Oh, a meme? Yeah, you should be able to share. So see if you can do it. In the meantime, I'll say thanks again. I know Tatiana's off now, but thanks again to her coming on. And there's, of course, like you were mentioning earlier, reading the comments, a lot of people who are like, what is this? And some people who agree with it. So that's why we have people on here, is that I don't tend to think that's the case, obviously, as I said on the show, but I have no problem. I'm not in a position with pretty much any of my beliefs that I don't want to hear from someone who thinks something different, even if it's extreme. In fact, that's the most interesting ones to hear from. Who wants to hear from the people in the middle of the bell curve? You know what I mean? I want to hear from the people who have the unusual opinions about things, whether or not they're right or wrong, and they tend to have elements of the truth in them, one way or another. So that's why I like hearing about that stuff. So someone else suggested a tactical guest next. If you have suggestions for any show content, you can always send them to rulethewasteland@gmail.com. And if you have a topic, give me a couple of suggestions for like the type of people that you're thinking of that may be interested in myself or Shay, and shoot them an email and see if they want to jump on there. She did have a soothing voice. I'm like, falling asleep over here. She needs to make like an ASMR channel or something.
Listen, folks, if you found that entertaining, interesting, educational, whatever you found it, that's just the beginning. Some of the theories and concepts this young lady has are quite fascinating. I will tell you two things. I have met her. She's a very real woman, real person. There's no product or anything she's selling. I think that's evident in her exit strategy. She just, here's an email if you want more information.
Right.
It wasn't sign up here and get 10% off. Secondly, right. I'll just say this quickly, that she is with conviction with her thought process. There's an absolute definite belief with respect to what she's saying. She really believes everything that she's saying. Sorry, Eric.
No, that's it. That's all I was going to say. Yeah, she's definitely, I always appreciate authenticity, regardless of anything else,
I sent you an email. Yes.
Oh yeah, is this you got an image that you emailed me? Okay, let me you have a limited ability to share or what?
Yeah, it's just the sound goes all funky in my system.
Oh, that's right.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Let me see if we got it.
Well, Eric's setting that up, ladies and gentlemen. In the comments, you can.
All right, I got it. All right, you ready?
All day I've been laughing at this.
There we go.
You gotta zoom in.
Yeah. So we got the first frame here, second frame, and you're like, what the hell? Just plant some mushrooms. What are you perverts thinking about? So dumb. Oh my god. I do like that first frame though, it's hilarious. For other things. They even purposely made him like sickly pale to match the color of the. It was premeditated.
I tried to put it on Facebook, and all I get was the first two frames.
Yeah, and then they're like, "What? No, I have to show them all because no one will click on it." It's like, why are you posting this?
I'm good there. We can end it there, folks.
All right, guys. I think that was a good one.
I think, yeah, maybe we'll clock up the next couple minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, my show in the comments. Did you enjoy the guest? Would you like to see her back on? Any feedback in that respect would be appreciated. So feel free to comment away there. And any last few questions or?
Yeah, I see Mark Olson mentions the Cali EPA trucker shortage. I was going to make a video on that probably early next week about the continued supply chain issues and stuff, what's quote unquote real, what's not, what's causing some of it. But yeah, specifically, one of the things that I've heard and haven't completely confirmed yet, but it seems to be legit, is that part of the reason why they're having all these clogs at the ports is because California specifically has made these rules about trucking where the trucks have to be at least 2011 or newer for emission standards. And they banned owner operator type businesses from trucking, which a lot of people, that is their trucking business, is the driver and the truck he owns, and they'll contract out to move stuff, and they won't let them do that. It has to be part of a bigger company. So then they can't get truckers because they either have an older truck, so the businesses can't use them, or they're an owner operator, so they can't utilize their services. So there's just not nearly enough people and truckers there to move the containers. And then add to that the supply shortages we're seeing from like a COVID shut down some random plant that makes a U joint for a truck transmission or something. The only one in the country that does it, and now they're behind schedule, and some truck breaks, and that's it. They're just waiting. Weird stuff like that. So definitely we're in a fragile system where everything, like one little thing like that, can cause a cascading effect. And what happens if that piece like that that's used in power plants goes out? You know what I mean? And only a bearing or something like Carl Ginger was talking about recently. Are you fucked for a few weeks, while you wait for them to unload all these ships and what's on the ship somewhere out there? Very interesting times.
It certainly is. Very well said too. The ripple effect is happening up here too. There's, for whatever reason, just generally speaking in Canada, there seems to be a shortage, or excuse me, a delay in receiving shipping. We're not too sure. It's probably maybe even connected directly to what you were suggesting with the trucking industry in Cali. I do know from a woman out in California that it's very difficult, or it's very hard for truckers out in that state particularly. It seems the regulations are very onerous, or maybe a little bit too much far reach.
Yeah, very onerous, overreaching. They're done with respect to ideology and not with respect to logistics. So if you tell these people like coal's bad, so they say, great, let's just say you can't use it or something like that as an example, and without any respect to how they're going to get all this energy or get all these things done otherwise. And that's part of the reason why I'm kind of bullish on, or not kind of, I'm extremely bullish on uranium and uranium mining stocks and whatnot over the next 5-10 years, is because they're making all these rules about how everything has to be electric and can't be from fossil fuels, but there's no way they're going to be able to ramp up solar and wind and things like that to cover that gap. So they're going to have to increase the nuclear energy production.
Right. So, yeah, I'd say they're certainly on the right path. And, if not for the sake of XYZ rationality, for the sake of the well-being and health of the planet, let's try and get away from fossil fuels to some extent. I don't think we should have a hurricane destroy industries and people's lives as a result. So there has to be perhaps some sort of natural transcending way to do it in a way that in a manner that's beneficial or helpful to everybody. Yeah.
Cool.
Get a guess that's a bit more, what's that here? We've got here, Anglock Trust. Get a guess that's a bit more up to date with current events. Well, I don't know, man.
I didn't remember her saying anything that was not up to date. I mean, she talked about CERN, I guess, but that's about it. That I would say was not quote unquote current. But she was using in reference to some, some current stuff. It wasn't like she was behind, as far as I could tell.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Cool. It's fun, guys. Appreciate you watching.
It was different.
Yeah. Enjoyable though. So thanks
everyone.
everyone.
Great night, everybody.
Yeah. We will talk to you later.
See ya.